Today, I want to talk about how we beat people with the stick we accuse them of. Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and special education teacher. I homeschooled my own children for 5 years, and the things I talk about are the things I've observed, I've learned, I've studied and applied, finding what works for myself personally, my children, and for my students. Today, I'm going to talk about how we beat people with the stick we accuse them of. And this can be a very difficult subject in that we don't see that we use the stick. In fact, we might even say, no, they're the ones who do that. I don't do that. I've been trying to, let's say, someone was unkind to us. I've been trying to be kind to them, and they're the ones being unkind. Or another example might be, my children don't listen to me. And if our children don't listen to us, then unfortunately, I have never seen a case where that doesn't mean we were truly listening to them. And so things can be a little tricky, because if we want our children to change or to grow, then that means that we get that opportunity. They learn change and they learn growth from us. So in one example, we had somebody being unkind. They were being unkind to other children. And so when we look at that, there's a lot that can be going on. It can be, and this one here is from my teacher perspective, looking at all the different parts. So here's a child who's unkind to other children in the class. And when we talk about it, you'll see that the other children are being unkind back. And we go, well, of course they're supposed to be. Well, we don't think it that way. But if we look at what they're doing that is unkind, they're avoiding the person, they're calling, like when they get together with other students, oh, they're so mean, they're so whatever. So, they're so mean, they're so unkind, I can't believe they're doing that. And when we talk that way, is that kind to the other child? And then when we look at perhaps what's going on with the parents, then we'll see times that they're unkind. And we might think, no, that's not unkind, that's discipline, that's teaching, that's, we'll come up with ways to describe what we're doing that isn't using that word unkind. But when we really look at it, the way we might be disciplining or the way we might be teaching is teaching our child unkind. I mean, and one of my favorite examples is, and it's a sad example, but I think it's very clearly shows, and I don't know if you've seen this, but when one child hits their sibling, the parent might slap their hand and say, don't hit your brother or don't hit your sister. And what is that child learning? If someone's not listening, then, I should hit them or slap them or things like that. Our child isn't learning that hitting our sibling is unkind. And like I said, it gets a little tricky because, like in that example of a child being unkind to other children at school, and those children are like, "Oh, that child's unkind. Oh, that child's mean. That child," and they start calling this child. They're pretty much labeling this child and calling them names. We go, well, they need to protect themselves, and when we look at that, I mean, doesn't that make sense? If we look at other relationships, perhaps at work, perhaps with our siblings, our adult siblings, or our parents, we'll find that we use the stick that we accuse them of as a way to protect ourselves, as and to keep from being hurt by their stick. This is one of those unconscious things that we do, and we don't really look at it. So what I'm trying to at least bring out today is open that as a possibility for you to think about and to deeply consider. I know someone who was really struggling with their neighbor, and their neighbor was, had adult children that were taking up all the not the driveway, but the parking along the road. And when they wanted things that, were felt unreasonable, like the neighbor was mowing their lawn, and the neighbor was doing that so the lawns could look better together, so they'd be the same height. And that could be considered something kind, but that's not what the person who was calling the neighbor unkind wanted. And so she would get frustrated and angry, and I'm trying to be kind, I'm trying to understand, but then because she's just trying, and we unconsciously beat people with the same stick we're doing. She was trying to express that kindness in ways that then pretty much they become manipulative. They're, instead of being kind back, well, I told them they could do this from this time to this time, but don't leave it there for 3 days. Like, if you park here, but don't leave it there for 3 days, and things. So here we're showing, if you do this, then we'll do that. And this is something like we've grown up with, because as children, we really aren't able to meet those needs internally. And when we look to our adults, with our mirror neurons and all those things that we learn without consciously learning, we pick up on these same patterns. And so there are things that I think people say, oh, that's genetic. They have a genetic predisposition for behaving this way or having this kind of response. And I believe that there are some cases out there, but I would not be surprised if as we go through life's journey and down the hundreds of years, as we get more research and things, if we find out really truly these are patterns that are so programmed into society and into our brains that we just take it as that's the way it is. And it can be very hard to be responsible for our own feelings. Because if we feel like if we're responsible for our own feelings and we truly express kindness back, and we tell our children to express kindness back, like not to hold it against a child that they hurt them or called them names, hurt them physically or emotionally, but to be aware that, oh, that person is struggling right now, and it's not beneficial for them to hit me or yell at me, but how about I go tell a parent or I go tell a teacher, because this child really needs some help, and I'm not an adult to provide that for them. And so that takes us out of that, pretty much a victim mode, a defensive mode, to really truly to be able to express what our heart desires to express. I don't know anyone who that's their number one desire, is to be angry or to be selfish or to be those things. Those are ways that we interpret things to protect ourselves. So really consider, what am I accusing my children of, or my spouse of, or my coworkers of, or my neighbors of, and really look at ourselves and say, where is it that I'm feeling defensive, where I'm feeling protective, and where I want something else, but it may not be coming the way that I desire it. And what does that mean for my behaviors, and how can I take responsibility for my own emotions? And that will open up so many of the possibilities that we don't see, in order to truly unconditionally love and to find solutions, to find answers that we narrow down because of this wall that we put up for that defensiveness. And that wall is really truly in our own brains. And so that's, as we do this, you will find all those things that you're thinking you can't have because of other people. You'll probably be surprised that sooner or later that will change. So remember, children are great by their very nature, and it is our opportunity, our privilege, and our responsibility to raise these children who are great. Well, we'll see you in the next episode. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.